Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Giri Varadari Jaya Jaya Gopi Jana Bala Giri Varadari Jaya Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana 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 Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Asatara Satasisi Mother's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories of Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, first chapter, text 2. I didn't bring my reading glasses, but I think I can do this. Yekopita Sabahu Pandu Sutta Sapatnair. Anyone have glasses? Durtyata Helena Hara Grahanad Vistan Kvidvanimitam Itaritarata Sametan Atvanripaniraharat Shiti Baramisha Yekopita Subaha Pandu Sutta Sapatnair Tudyutta Helana Kacha Grahanad Bisan Kritvanimitam Itaritarata Samitan Hadvanri Paniraharat Shiti Baramishaha. Yea, they who Kopitaha were angered, Subahu excessively, time and time again, Pandu Sutaha, the sons of Pandu, Sapatnahi, by their enemies, Dudyuta, by duplicitous gambling, Helana, insults, Kachagrahana, grabbing the hair of Draupadi, Adibihi, and other impetuses, Tan, them, the Pandavas, Kritva, making, Nimitam, the immediate cause, Itarataha, confronting one another on opposite sides, Sametan, all assembled, Hatva, killing, Nripan, the kings, Niraharat, took away once and for all, Shiti, of the earth, Baram, the burden, Ishaha, the Supreme Lord. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-yoga Swami Srila Prabhupada. Because the sons of Pandu were enraged by the numerous offenses of their enemies, such as duplicitous gambling, verbal insults, the seizing of Draupadi's hair, and many other cruel transgressions, the Supreme Lord engaged those Pandavas as the immediate cause to execute His will. On the pretext of the Battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna arranged for all the kings who were burdening the earth to assemble with their armies on opposite sides of the battlefield. And when the Lord killed them through the agency of war, the earth was relieved of its burden. You can repeat this. Because the sons of Pandu were enraged by the numerous offenses of their enemies, such as duplicitous gambling, verbal insults, the seizing of Draupadi's hair, and many other cruel transgressions, the Supreme Lord engaged those Pandavas as the immediate cause to execute His will. On the pretext of the Battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna arranged for all the kings who were burdening the earth to assemble with their armies on opposite sides of the battlefield. And when the Lord killed them through the agency of war, the earth was relieved of its burden. Purport. The Pandavas were repeatedly harassed by their enemies, such as Duryodhana and Dubashana. As innocent young princes, the Pandavas had no enemy, but Duryodhana was constantly plotting against his helpless cousins. The Pandavas were sent to a house of lac, which was later burned to the ground. They were administered poison, and their chaste wife, Draupadi, was publicly insulted when her hair was pulled, and an attempt was made to strip her naked. Throughout these dangers, Lord Krishna constantly protected the Pandavas, who were fully surrendered to him and who knew no shelter other than him. In this verse, the word itare tarataha is significant. Previous to the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna had personally killed many demons, including Putana, Keshi, Aghasura, and Kamsa. Now Krishna wanted to complete his mission of removing the earth's burden by killing the remaining impious persons. But as stated here, Kritva Nimitam, the Lord did not personally kill, but he empowered his devotees Arjuna and other Pandavas to remove the impious kings, thus acting personally, and through his immediate expansion, Balaram, as well as by empowering his pure devotees, such as the Pandavas, Krishna fully displayed the pastimes of the Yuga avatar by reestablishing religious principles and ridding the world of demons. Although the general purpose of the Kurukshetra battle was to kill the demons, by Krishna's arrangement, some great devotees, such as Bhima, also appeared to be inimical toward the Lord. But as described in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 9, text 39, by the words Hata Gataha Swarupam, many great devotees played with the Lord as enemies, and upon being killed by Krishna, returned immediately to his abode in the spiritual sky, in their original spiritual bodies. Because God is absolute, by killing, he simultaneously removes the demons from the earth and encourages his pure devotees. Hari. Oma Ganatamadandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshulin Militam Jaina Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swaya Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapatandikam Panchakopa Turubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Bhavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Does that help answer one of your questions the other day? Did you hear that last couple sentences there? They all return to the spiritual world. This is Krishna's business. He created the whole atmosphere so everyone would kill everyone, go back to the spiritual world, all for his pleasure. Everything for the pleasure of Krishna. Everything we do for Krishna's pleasure. But to speak of here in Vrindavan, everything has to be for the pleasure of Krishna. Someone just asked me just before class, came to Vrindavan just for a few days, what to do here while they're in Vrindavan. Same as we do everywhere else. We leave Vrindavan. Class the other day was so nice. I think it was Daiva Shakti was saying how Prabhupada installed Radha Krishna all around the world, made everywhere Vrindavan, carried Vrindavan with him, created Vrindavan for everyone. Our business, wherever we go as devotees, one's a surrendered devotee. Everywhere he goes, he does the same thing. Tries to serve Krishna. Another person asked me the other question. He was reading, of course, about Srila Prabhupada, my time with Srila Prabhupada. A devotee of Krishna. I have no idea. I have little idea what it is to be a devotee, real devotee, because I Spent a lot of time with one. I could see the activities of a devotee. Sometimes we could say Prabhupada would chastise, but he would say it was always for our benefit. He had no business chastising. He could have let us carry on. Told you, ultimately, mostly we got chastised for what? Say this again and again. Anyone remember anything? Sleeping. We're always sleeping. We've been sleeping through millions and millions of lives, sleeping, just going through. When we're awake, what do? We try to enjoy, somehow or other, try to enjoy this body, that body, every body. You can see them just walking back and forth to the temple. Yesterday I saw one parrot chasing the other parrot, trying to enjoy. Then you see the monkeys in the garden trying to enjoy. And they're being harassed by the security, trying not to let them enjoy. This is the business in the material world, trying to enjoy and not being able to enjoy. This is a business. But I saw what Prabhupada was always enjoying. Say happy. Even during chastisements. One devotee told me story in Australia. Prabhupada was in Australia, and he was chastising this devotee. She was outside in the other room. She didn't want to go in. Prabhupada could raise his voice. He had many features. He had many different levels of chastisement, different levels of pleasure, different levels of laughing. I never saw anyone laugh like Srila Prabhupada when I saw him laughing. It just kept going and going, increasing. His whole body was shaking, tears coming out of his eyes. Whatever he did maximum. The service was maximum. His chastisement. There was a simple chastisement. Insulting us, calling us dead men, because we were sleeping like dead men, he would say to us. And you would just sit there. Whatever he said, you were, yes, Prabhupada. Then we say, add insult to injury. Go on, go back to sleep. Imagine he chastises you for sleeping and then says, go on. The devotee also can be sarcastic. All the features were there, not just this hands folded all the time. No, that's not devotee. Devotee has all the different qualities. Krishna has all the qualities. All these people sending to war. Rid the world of the demoniac mentality. I was thinking he needs to come again, like very, very soon. But then I realized he sent Prabhupada. He sent Srila Prabhupada to come once in his room in Mayapur. Prabhupada would say so many things. Saying something now in your room and saying something in your room 50 years ago, very, very different. Prabhupada could speak in his room. Nothing was being recorded. He said once, he said we'd kill all the demons if we could. Physically kill them. He said, but we can't. We want to kill the demoniac mentality. And then he said, you can say anything you want, just don't put it in print. What you put in print, be very, very careful. Prabhupada said things, you won't find it in print. There are things, when I was with Srila Prabhupada, I never even say. Don't want to upset so many people. Prabhupada would say things as it is, at that time as it was. Things he would say to his sannyasi disciples, how strict they should be. As he was watching, going this way, going that way, falling down, very upset. He could be so upset and then Afterwards, you'd fall and come in the room, and he'd be so nice. Say, just do your service now, he said to the one. As now you're Grahasta, he said, just do your service like Grahasta. But until that point, no, he didn't approve. There's one, 1973 it was, so a long time ago. We were all young, most of us 20 or so, give or take 1 or 2 years. And I was in Los Angeles. I've been with Prabhupada for about 6 months. And there had been a big scandal. Like now, so many always scandals are there. Devotees love to discuss scandals, you know. Prabhupada didn't like discussing scandals. It was a waste of time. But there was a big scandal. A devotee was shot and killed. Man, married man, but he was with someone else. So the husband came in, knew what was going on, came in, killed him, just shot him dead. I think a devotee, shot dead. So of course, woman has a 2-year-old daughter, and she's like 23 years old. Been married for a couple of years now, husband's gone. Doesn't even know what to do. Her brother was also a devotee, older brother. So it had happened a few months before Prabhupada came to Los Angeles. I can't imagine all the things that were swirling around, all the talk that's going on. So finally Prabhupada came. So very first day, devotee, the brother, his sister. The brother, very intelligent, worked for ISKCON Press back in the early days. So he had his sister, he said, we want to see Srila Prabhupada. So of course I told Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, okay. So the man and woman both come into the room. He's her big brother. Now she's a widow. She's not wearing white or anything. We have no idea what to do. What do we know? They came in to see Srila Prabhupada, and of course, the woman, she doesn't do any talking. She's just sitting there on the floor in front of Srila Prabhupada, and the brother's there. So he has everything. Imagine he's been thinking of all these things, days, weeks, months, who knows how long, you know? He's got to figure out what to do for his sister. Well, he tells Prabhupada, and you could see he starts speaking and saying how she has a young child, and now she has no husband, and could see where it was leading. Even I could see where it was leading. He said, is it okay if she gets married? Prabhupada looked. He said, the boy said, his brother said, she needs protection. Prabhupada looked at him. He was surprised. He said, you're not protected? Then he looked at his sister, the woman whose husband killed. He said, you're not protected? And he looked at me. You're not protected? This was Prabhupada. He gave us everything. Doesn't matter what you're going through. Look what's going on here. Everyone's fighting, killing. Draupadi's being disrobed, uncovered, insulted. So duplicitous gambling. I don't know what duplicitous gambling means. Gambling we know, but what's duplicitous gambling? Anyone have an idea what is duplicitous? Cheating. Duplicitous. Cheating. We're paying dice. Anyway, somehow or other, cheating. All these things are going on. Krishna brought everybody together. Anyway, we're there in the room. So then the brother says, so you prohibit her from getting married? Prabhupada said, I'll not prohibit. This was Prabhupada. Expert, devotee, just wanted to help. But he wanted us to understand, I've given you protection. As Krishna says, fully surrender. Sarvadharman pridyaja mamekam saranam praja. Full surrender. You're fully protected. This is what a devotee thinks. I give up. Everything going on here is to say, all right, I surrender. You have to fully surrender. Now your responsibility. Prabhupada's telling us, he's telling us in the room, you've taken shelter of me. You're protected. Protected. Then he talked to a more practical level. He said, so what is the guarantee next man will be any different than the one that was killed? He said, what's the guarantee? You could see what he wanted. He didn't prohibit, but then he gave his advice. You have to do that. You go to someone, sometime when I was in Govardhan Eco Village and sitting with Radhanath Maharaj, and I asked him a question. He said, are you asking my advice? See, then it becomes, you're asking advice, I'm going to give it to you. You're just talking, one thing, but you're asking advice? All right, I'll tell you. So Prabhupada said, what's the guarantee? This one, next one will be any better. He said, this is the difficulty. He said, Kali Yuga, women are not chaste. The men are not protecting. He said, what is the guarantee? Anyway, a little conversation, and they left. We came back, I think it was 6-8 months later, to Los Angeles, New Dwarka Temple. And Prabhupada was in the airport, in the escalator. It's an escalator going down. So, of course, you have hundreds of devotees surrounding Srila Prabhupada. He gets on the escalator. Of course, I'm right behind him holding a bag or two, and a couple others were all there with him going down the escalator. Everyone else is falling down the stairs, trying not to push into Prabhupada from behind. Everyone's trying to be conscious what's going on. And Prabhupada's heading down the stairs. This devotee girl, who is now a widower. She's at the bottom of the stairs. She had it all figured out. She knew you have to pick your spots when Prabhupada was here. How to get close to him, how to get near him. Sometimes the best thing was to go somewhere else to know where he's coming, where he's going to be next. People have done this. It's a science. It was a science to get Prabhupada's association. Some people would just stay back at the temple. When he comes to the temple, you're the first one there. Open the door. Offer your obeisances. See, there are different ways you could get your spot. So Prabhupada, Los Angeles was world headquarters. So he'd been there so many times. People come into the gate, big kirtan. So there's 100 devotees, more in the airport, but all around. Now Prabhupada's going down the stairs, the escalator. So no one's in front of him. Can't be in front of her, only behind. Next to or behind, never in front. Never in front. He's going in the escalator, going slowly down. And down at the bottom of the stairs is the girl, woman, maybe 23 years old. Now her daughter, maybe 2.5, 3 years old. And the girl's wearing white. White sari, widow, like widow. And the little girl has a garland. And Prabhupada's descending, gets to the bottom. And of course, little girls trying to put the garland on Prabhupada. Woman standing there with her hands folded. And Prabhupada's standing at the bottom of the escalator. And the escalator, of course, still bringing people down. these people are Prabhupada's disciples, so they all have to figure out how not to bump into Srila Prabhupada. That's also, you don't ever want to do that. Never bump it. Ooh. I saw that happen on morning walks a few times. Prabhupada said, free spirit. Free spirit. He could walk, not walk, walk fast. Whatever he wanted to do, he would do. Stop. We say stop on a dime, stop, just be walking, talking, boom, stop. And everybody's still walking. And if you're behind them still walking, ooh, you bump into them. Sometimes he would turn around, just look. You can imagine that look you don't ever want to see coming on Srila Prabhupada's face, that look. And be attentive. That's what I learned with Prabhupada. Always have to pay attention. Sometimes you don't, you're not very conscious. So anyway, Prabhupada came down, got the garland. He saw the woman, didn't talk to her anymore. She didn't come to the room or anything. But this was Prabhupada. She remained widow for many, many decades. Still devotee. Many, many decades. But to have that, if you ask Prabhupada a question, you had to be prepared for the response. You had to be prepared for what was going to come. But that was his business coming here. Imagine, we see now what's going on in this world. I don't know, I'm in Maya all the time. Sometimes I get up in the morning and I just look at the news to see if there's a reason to get up in the morning, if a bomb got dropped somewhere or something, and I think, maybe it's all over. That's how precarious the situation is. Prabhupada told us about that. He always was telling us that. We could never, so many things he said. But always, devotees always happy no matter what. Like I said, when he mentioned World War III, even that was also in Los Angeles, 1973. One sannyasi, he wanted to see Prabhupada. I always would go in. Who was ever going in, we offer obeisances and sat up, and he looked at Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, did you say World War III was going to start? He gave some date, a specific date, like March 3rd, 1974, something. I don't know. I don't remember. But soon, like World War III was going to start. He said, did you say that? Prabhupada said, I never said so. Prabhupada didn't say things like that. He didn't make these, he made predictions, but he never assigned dates, specific dates. So soon, he would say soon, World War III, soon. So Prabhupada said, I never said that. He said, where did you hear this? And the devotee, sannyasi said, devotee told me that Srutakirti said, that you said World War III is going to start on this date. Prabhupada looked at me. He said, did you say that? I said, I never said anything. He said, I never talk about a war. Prabhupada just shook his head. He said, just see. He said, they'll say, Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that. He said, but unless you hear me say it, I didn't say it. Which means you have to know the books. That's why the books are so important. People will tell you, Prabhupada, they'll use Prabhupada. Prabhupada knew it. Everyone was using Prabhupada. It's not a new thing. It was going on all the time. Prabhupada said, no salt. Don't put any salt in it when you're cooking. Because he said that to one person who was using too much salt. He said, don't use any salt when you cook for me. It went all around the world. Prabhupada doesn't use salt. We shouldn't use salt. When I first joined 1971, imagine you move into a temple. You come from your life, no control over senses, eating whatever you want, eating whenever you want, sleeping when you want. And all of a sudden you move into an ashram, an ISKCON ashram. You have your breakfast, you have your lunch, you're done. If you're lucky, nighttime, hot milk maybe somewhere in some temples, a little popcorn, something. But that's it. This is after having no control. We would be eating and eating when you saw that prasadam come. So much eating. I remember New Vrindavan was like that. Just waiting for the next meal. When's prasadam coming? The discipline was there. Los Angeles was wonderful. Prabhupada liked Los Angeles temple very, very much. 2 temples, he said to me, and I consider they were some of his, everywhere was favorite place for Srila Prabhupada. But even we have favorite places, there's different levels. I was just in Mayapur. They have one photograph in Mayapur, Prabhupada in his sitting room. You don't see a photograph like this anywhere in the world. Prabhupada's sitting behind his desk, just a cushion, and just a little desk, and he's leaning back on his desk, and his feet are up on the table. Prabhupada's lotus feet are sitting up there on the table. And Godbrother asked me, Mayapur, how was Prabhupada in Mayapur? Because he had a certain feeling. I said, I saw no other place how Prabhupada was in Mayapur. So relaxed. When he was in Mayapur, he seemed so peaceful, so happy. He enjoyed that lotus building so much, the breezes that would come, just being in that place, birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. And the one time we went there, as he stood there in his room looking out the window, nothing but rice paddies everywhere. And then I was Grahasta. And he said to me, Srutakirti Maharaj, how do you like it here in Mayapur? So right away, he's in a very playful mood. Last thing anyone would call me. I said, it's very nice, Srila Prabhupada. It was very nice. It was also a very hard struggle living there. It looked very beautiful, but, like the night scene of a city looks very beautiful at night, but Mayapur was very beautiful, is very beautiful, but we struggled. But Prabhupada, he liked it there very much. I said, I never saw Prabhupada so peaceful as when he would sit there in Mayapur. So happy to be in that place, to have that place. Los Angeles was similar. Prabhupada, he liked Los Angeles very much, spent a lot of time there. And again, the one time he went there, same thing, standing in his room, looking out the window. It was just like Mayapur, just looking out the window. I don't know who knows what Prabhupada's thinking, what he's doing. But then he said, Srutakirti Maharaj, how do you like it here in Los Angeles? And he knew I liked it there in Los Angeles. It was very, very nice, very easy in Los Angeles. Everyone taking care of Srila Prabhupada. In Mayapur, not like that. I was washing his clothes, cooking, doing everything. Los Angeles, they would line up at Prabhupada's quarters. Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I make something for him? Can I do the laundry? Anything. This was the difference being in India, being here in the West. But both places and everywhere, Prabhupada liked so much. This is devotee. Even under the most difficult circumstances, not affected. And that's described in first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, in a purport. Pure devotees, unaffected by the modes of nature, unaffected by the threefold miseries. All he knows is his service. Everywhere. Prabhupada traveled for his service, his business. What his business was to do. Travel around the world, give Krishna to everyone. And Prabhupada was happy. no matter what difficulties might appear. And there are always difficulties. Look at all these difficulties we're going to be reading about. So many difficulties here in the material world. Even so-called difficulties for the devotee. But he doesn't see any difficulties because he's protected. Well, one very important thing we all need to understand. You give your life to Krishna. He's obliged, obligated to protect you. Prabhupada, he accepts you as your disciple. Spiritual master takes you. His business to try to protect you. Not always easy to protect. Like Prabhupada said, like, prohibit? Prabhupada never prohibited. To me, he gave me so much advice while I was with him. And usually it would just right over my head. I was so in illusion, I didn't understand he was telling me what to do. He would tell me exactly what I should be doing. I always thought he was just giving me general instructions that were meant for everyone. Not that it was meant for me, huh? Just like Bhagavad-Gita, Prabhupada said, it's meant for you. Krishna is speaking to you. He's speaking to each and every one of us. It's not just for Arjuna. Not so easy. And being with pure devotee, you get to see really what Krishna consciousness is like every moment. I told you that one of Bhagavad-Gita. When Prabhupada was in Miami, you were there in 75? In the room where he stayed, it was the president's cottage, I guess. Big, big picture. Krishna and Balaram. Krishna is standing there, as it says, smiling. Oh, always smiling. And Balaram's got his hand on his head. We don't know what that means. The total anxiety. And Prabhupada entered after Arjuna. What did I say? Arjuna, Balaram. Excuse me. Thank you. Total anxiety. And I'm behind Prabhupada. I'm already thinking Prabhupada's going to India. I don't want to go. Imagine. Everyone would have wanted to do it. And I'm thinking, how can I remain in the West? Nanda Kumar can be a servant in India. He likes it. Imagine the foolishness. So foolish. And Prabhupada stopped and he looked at that painting, BBT painting. And he said, I like this painting very much. And me, who generally never said anything, made my mistake. I said, why is that? Why is that, Prabhupada? Oh, he looked at me. He said, just see. He said, Arjuna, so much anxiety. Krishna is telling him, you have to kill all your relatives and your friends. And he looked at me. He said, what to speak of leaving them? If Krishna wants, you have to kill them. He knew now I was married, child, just wanted to go home, Oh, he's telling me, if Krishna wants, you have to kill your family members. He doesn't want anyone to kill their family members. Don't get the wrong idea here. Don't, like Srutakirti said, Prabhupada said, no. No, don't go, I have a license to kill. He said, but what? But he said it again. He said, if Krishna wants, what to speak of leaving them? And he's telling me, you just stay here and do your service. All your nonsense in your mind. I should be doing this. I should be doing this. I need so much relief from stress, all these things, nonsense. Prabhupada would tell you exactly what to do all the time. But sometimes he would tell you very gentle ways. He would tell you, you had to be conscious enough to even receive the instruction. I saw him do it. Many sannyasis telling him, straighten up. He said in Mayapur, all the sannyasis in Calcutta, he said they should stamp on their forehead, keep in a cool place. He said, like on the box of butter. You see in the butter here, it says same, keep in a cool place, right? He said, because you're like butter. Women are like fire. He said, they should all be stamped. Keep in a cool, keep away from women. That was his instruction. Simple instruction, very simple instruction. Anyway, this is all, everything is for us to learn how to serve Krishna, how to ourselves, what it means to surrender. Simple thing, very simple. It was described, was it yesterday? Dinabandhu was saying, Prabhupada said 90%, 80%. Even that sounds very, very high. 75% surrendered, to surrender to Krishna. But by the grace of the spiritual master, by just humbly trying to do a little service, we depend on his mercy. So by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, anything is possible. Right, Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, corrections?
That Mataji that was wearing the white sari, she was looking for approval from Prabhupada, and she said he definitely gave her a nod of approval, so she was very happy about that.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
But, we have to surrender without personal desires or mental speculation. It's hard to do. But anyway, I got distracted here. What is akama sarva kama va moksha kama daradi? You can, whether you're full of material desires, you have no material desires, or desire liberation, you still serve. So it seems a little bit paradoxical. How can one be free of material desires and mental speculation, but at the same time even full of material desires and still surrender? How do you do both?
How do you do?
I ask you.
Well, I see we're all doing, that's what we're doing. Well, who here will raise their hand? Who is pure devotee here? Anyone will raise their hand? We're all. That's also described in the Bhagavatam, devotional service in the modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. We all come. And Prabhupada said, when you come, that's the beginning, very beginning. Sometimes we take a sigh of relief, like now we're finished our business, I got initiated. The goal is to be initiated. That's not the goal. Goal is to become Krishna conscious and to take shelter. Surrender. It's a constant thing we do to surrender, to try to surrender at every moment. That's what, I always quote that one in the video in Australia. In Australia, that one brahmachari raises his hand in Prabhupada's room, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? Prabhupada says, a moment. We had that moment, right? But a moment keeps coming. It's not a one-time thing. I surrendered. Every moment must surrender. Every moment. Always surrender. Whatever comes before us. And when the difficulties come, what makes something difficult? What's his name? Bhakti, a scientist.
Damodar.
He went to Prabhupada. I tell you, he had a lot of struggles in ISKCON because he was drawing money from BBT. Prabhupada funded, only person Prabhupada funded with BBT money was Bhakti Swarup Damodar's scientist at a group. $10,000 a month. In 1976, $10,000 a month. He was saying to give to him to spread Krishna consciousness. to the intelligent, the masses, the scientists, most difficult audience to present Krishna consciousness to. So his godbrothers, they gave him a hard time. And he went to Prabhupada. And he said, I'm struggling. He said, it's very difficult. Prabhupada said, what is difficulty? He said, well, this is happening. He said, it's very difficult, he said. Prabhupada looked. Now imagine, he's saying that to Prabhupada, traveling around the world constantly, trying to manage thousands of devotees, translate his books, open temples, install deities, and he's complaining, what should I do? Prabhupada said, I see no difficulties, only service. Ultimately, that's the goal, service. Everything we prove through our service. Otherwise, we can make a show being Krishna conscious and sit somewhere all day, maybe look like we're chanting Hare Krishna and looking at every person walks by. So many things we can do. But the real test, service. That's what Prabhupada told me. We just do our service in any condition. And he accepted that in those days. The devotees, of course, it's not like that now. Now everyone chants 16 rounds, follow the regulative principles. But in those times, there were people,
Really?
temple presidents, managers, sannyasis, following, not following. Prabhupada took everybody's service. That's what he said, the ends justifies the means. He was willing to take service from anyone if they would help him. He was that magnanimous. He said, do this, do this, do this, don't do this, don't do this. But even the people that weren't doing what they should do and were doing things that they shouldn't do, if somehow or other they were serving, he accepted it. He could burn that material desires up and take the service from it. His desire to follow his spiritual master was so strong. And I know he understood only he could do what he did. No one else was going to do it. There wasn't a follow-up. And he said, just try to maintain nicely what I've given you. That was his instruction. Just maintain, don't make it a farce.
Sometimes people say, give me service, I need service. I think they have specific service in mind. How do you deal with that?
Well, we can try to accommodate. Prabhupada, like I always say that, Prabhupada, people would come and say something, he would say, just do it. You talk a good story. Prabhupada knew people talked a good story. He would say, just do it. But I see that people sometimes come up to me, they have, my godbrothers, their spiritual master. And they'll ask me if it's, is this okay? Is this okay? Do like this. They're asking me because they know if I ask my guru, he'll say no. But you look like an easygoing Prabhupada disciple. I'll ask you, and maybe you'll say it's okay, and then I can do it until my guru complains. I'll say, well, Srutakirti said it was okay. So we look for what we want very often, and instead of surrendering to the spiritual master. Simple thing, but not easy. Not easy thing for us living in this material world. Even here in Vrindavan, most transcendental place, Krishna performed his pastimes. Prabhupada was very happy here, very happy everywhere. But I see Mayapur really had a special flavor that Prabhupada seemed to relax there more than anywhere else. And just a few hours away, Calcutta was just the opposite. When he went to Calcutta, they would just come to see him. Old acquaintances lived there so many years. So people would come. And he even went, this skin disease. They just saw him as Abai Charan or this or that. So he said sometimes it was a little aggravating. But still he accepted and was always Very, very pleasant to everyone. Always encouraged everyone. His own son, he told Gargamuni, set up the bookstall. So his son, he would have his son selling his books in a bookstall in Calcutta. So he always made arrangements for everyone, depending on the circumstances. All right. One more, okay.
Srutakirti, Prabhu, thank you so much for a wonderful class. Earlier in your talk, you mentioned how Prabhupada had said, whatever you put in writing, be careful. There's lots. So these days, we're very happy to have lots of memories and diaries about Prabhupada and his Leela. So what would be the correct balance to understand when they write what Prabhupada said, now they're putting it into writing, in relation to what is written in Prabhupada's books?
That's a good question. Even his books get questioned. Some of the statements, powerful statements Prabhupada makes in his books sometimes. But the thing is always to know Shastra, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. What I saw with Prabhupada, things that he would say to me always were based in the Shastra. I didn't, it was just a couple of months ago, I was in Govardhani village, and I finally read the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, and it says, first class servant knows what to do without being asked. Second class, you ask him, he does it. Third class, you ask him, he doesn't do it. Prabhupada said, he said that to me. But it was 50 years later, I finally read what he said to me. It was right there in Srimad Bhagavatam, right there. And in Bhagavatam, it even went one more, the fourth level. It said, stool. Fourth class servant, you're like stool. He didn't say that part. He didn't say that. He just mentioned the first three. He didn't mention the fourth one. But everything he did, stories I told, Prabhupada said, one chapter, one page, one line, one word. It's there in Srimad Bhagavatam. He didn't just make anything up. Everything was there. So that's our business. And he says that, you can find that. You know my books word for word and you repeat it in your own words. He didn't say you had to add anything. He said, repeat my words according to your way. That's what he said. And that's what he did. The longer I was with him, the more I saw is all he did was repeat his spiritual master's message. And he would say, that's why the potency is there. And as soon as you adulterate it, finished. So that's our business. Try to understand and just repeat it in our own way. I remember Bhakti-Tirtha Maharaj, he had very intelligent disciples. He speak the intelligent class. He himself was scholar. And we were at a festival once. We were talking and somebody said, your disciples are all so intelligent. He said, yeah, over-intelligent. He said, I tell them what to do and they don't listen. So we want to be intelligent, but not over-intelligent. We want to listen. Not that I know better. There's a very safe place. I know nothing. Supreme Personality of Godhead said it. I'm a fool. Who are we to think anything different? All right. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna.